Big round of applause for that one right there, man. We are right now, we're with the cast and director.
Yes.
Okay, of The Smashing Machine, which is a tremendous movie. I got a chance to watch it in advance, Heather B.
Yep.
Because I know one of the stars, the one and only Dwayne, The Rock Johnson is here. Give him a big round of applause. Big fan of one of the other co-stars, Emily Blunt is here. Can you believe we got Emily Blunt in here?
Yes.
And the director / actor extraordinaire. Give it up for the one and only Benny Safdie is here.
Yes.
Yo, standing ovation, man.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Come on. I'm going to stand.
You guys are matching too. Beautiful color
We're
palette
matching.
happening.
Yes.
My guy right here, man.
on.
Come on, man.
It's so good to be on, man.
Well, it's great.
with you guys.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Mutual.
Yes.
People may not know that Dwayne actually is a citizen of Sway in the Morning. He
Many
tunes
years.
into our morning show,
Wow.
right?
Many years.
Yeah,
many
man.
years.
You,
yes.
and we've never really told a bad story about you. I don't know if you noticed that.
I have. That's why I keep listening.
That was the prerequisite.
Yes.
But it's an honor to have you all here.
Yeah.
Congratulations on this movie. It's
Thank
a tremendous
Thank you,
movie.
brother.
I'm a fan of mixed martial arts and combat sports, and even prior to the UFC, I was watching a lot of what was going on, so I'm familiar with the Mark Kerr story, and I want to get into that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say we got Emily Blunt.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
And big.
You
Come
know,
on.
Emily, I'm thinking because of we know that Dwayne has been into the rap music, got into music business. He's done some songs, and we know Benny is from Queens, so that's where it all
Queens and Upper
started.
West Side, a
Yeah,
little
okay.
bit of both.
So
Little
Benny
bit of both.
Safdie is rap. Is
Yeah,
what
yeah,
we're saying, right?
You don't got no bars, Benny?
I've tried.
You tried?
And I failed.
But Emily Blunt, tell me if I'm wrong,
Oh, God.
could be the illest rap name ever.
Guys.
Wow.
To the max.
Emily Blunt.
No, that's killer.
I mean, the name, yeah, but not with this accent.
Yeah.
No, it would sound awful. It would sound awful, see? That's not, no one wants to hear that on
But
their
you can do
song.
any accent, though.
We
That's
did
the
not
thing.
even talk about that, and that was exactly what I was going to ask you. Like, do you realize you would have like the coolest MC name ever, and then ask you guys what would your because you have The Rock. It's The Rock. You
That's a
kind of
good name.
already
It's The
have.
Rock.
Yes.
You already have something there.
Yeah.
Built in.
It's already built
I gotta
in.
put the Riz on it. You know,
The
Rizak.
Oh,
Rizak. That's good. That is really good. What about you? What would your MC name be?
My MC would be Bowtie.
Bow tie.
Yeah,
That's on
because
Instagram.
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. When I was really even though I'm young, when I was really young,
Yeah.
I would wear a bow tie because I was like, you know what, it's cool,
Yeah.
it's fun, and I was just like, now it's like bow
Really
tie.
cute.
That is good. Hey, I love
Fit me.
it. I love it.
Okay, I didn't know that part of your
I
story.
know. It's just like I wanted to be different in some way, and I was like, oh, that's easy. You know?
Congratulations to you, man. You come a
Yeah.
long
Oh,
way as
thank
well.
you.
It's great
Yes.
seeing all of you here. And Emily, we sat you in the middle because you're the cohesive connector to how all of this happened, right? And I'm not sure if people even know the story because I know Dwayne, you and Benny had talked about working together.
That's right. In
Right.
2019, I brought this idea of the documentary of the Smash Machine to Benny. I just watched Uncut Gems. Love that movie. The frenetic nature of that movie, the energy of it, how he portrayed those characters, and I thought, I think there's something special about this filmmaker, Benny Safdie. We met, loved this idea, and then COVID hit, and it shut us all down. And then cut to. I'm going to pass the baton on to Emily, and then cut to these guys working on Oppenheimer together.
Yes, yes.
So we're in the makeup trailer in the New Mexican desert.
I'm so sorry, so sorry.
Yeah.
And then I never heard from Benny. He never heard from me. Like, it just went away. We
I think they
didn't talk
thought
to each
they
other.
were ghosting each
Yeah.
other.
They were
Because I had
After
actually
an incredible meeting.
it was really that, like,
nothing.
I just remember, like, I was like, wow, there's something really special behind Dwayne's eyes. You know, I felt a connection, and I was like, you know, I want to tell him something. So I got an address that I thought was your address. You know, who knows? Right now, somebody's probably sleeping in that sweater and it's just like has no idea. But so I looked for the sweater because Mark wears this very fashionable crew neck Nautica sweater, yellow sweater, and there was something about that decision that I thought was really cool. And so I found a version of the sweater in a XXL. So I was like, oh my God, what are the chances? It's from that time period. And I wrote a handwritten letter basically saying, I don't know what's going to happen, if I'm going to be a part of it. If not, I just want you to put this on when you choose to become Mark. You put this on and it'll help you get there. I would love to be a part of it. And but my handwriting's scary.
Yeah.
You know, I look like it's a little. It looks like a little bit like a psychopath. Psycho, like
handwriting.
maybe 6-year-old.
Uh-huh.
So I'm sure maybe somebody got it and was like, let's just put this.
And maybe the sweater was a bit grubby
Yes,
because
it was
sort of
definitely
like
it was. I got it on like eBay.
Oh, wow.
It probably just looked like a
I did-
dodgy gift.
although I
His
did get
security
it-
were like,
I never told this. I did get it dry clean before I
Okay.
sent it.
Okay, that's
Yes,
good to
I
know.
got it because I was like, I can't send him an eBay sweater, so I got it dry clean, got it fresh. And anyway, I never heard anything.
Yeah.
So I saw Emily, and the first thing I did was like, oh my God, I knew they were friends, and I was like, please, and so.
and then he goes, "Did he get the sweater?" And I was like, "Why are you sending Dwayne Johnson sweaters?" But like, and then I got the whole story, and then they both sent me the Smashing Machine documentary that night, and I watched it in New Mexico, and I remember calling DJ and going, "This role, this part, this movie, and this director, it's like perfect," and like everything he'd been sort of waiting for. I think like the opportunity to just put his feet to the fire, you know, in a very dramatic, incredibly daunting, challenging role. And I just think there's no one better to catch you in that environment than Benny. It was such a. So they started dating again.
Okay, so you brought them back together.
Yeah.
So you were
She
Cupid.
was the.
Yeah.
She was the.
I was like the
glue.
couples therapist.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
they fell in love again.
I was like, that dude ghosted me. I never heard from him again. He's like, he ghosted me.
Like social media.
Yeah,
Oh,
we was actually
gosh.
talking about resilience this morning on the show and just finding ways to get back up even when it feels like it's quiet or
Yes.
someone is kicking you while you're down. And I'm wondering when you have this idea or something just grabs your spirit, if you will,
Yes.
and you can't shake it, how do you, in this business, in this industry, how do you fight to get these things done?
Yeah.
You know, because COVID, I mean, it's
Shut
almost
everything
going on
down.
6 years ago now, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes.
How did you guys keep pushing, through?
Well, one, you got to try and shut out the noise because the noise is ever present. The moment you look at your phone, turn on the TV, it's noise. The other thing was, I, Benny, Emily, believed in this so deeply. You know, when something grabs a hold of you and it doesn't let go. And in this case, there was a little voice, I always say, behind my rib cage that was just like, hey, tapping and tapping. I think there's more. Where's your challenge? You've been lucky and blessed to chase box office, but I felt I want to chase the challenge. I want to challenge myself. I want to step out of my comfort zone. And it's scary. And then you realize that, well, there's the voice we have behind our rib cage. That's our heart talking. And it doesn't always align with what the brain is saying because the brain says, well, don't rock that boat. You're in the comfort zone. Your movies make money. A lot of people make money. You make a lot of people happy. You make money. You pay the bills, take care of your family. Right, but there's more. I wanted to challenge myself. So then finally reached a point where I had to shut the brain off because the heart is its own boss, and you got to listen to the heart. And then that's when Emily and I spoke, and Benny and I spoke, and then this idea about we got something here that we believe in deeply, and that could rock people.
Yeah, and it was. I felt the same way, because I had never stopped thinking about Mark Kerr, and just like I would have pictures of him on my phone. I would just look at it. Last one I looked, it was like from 2020, so that's like 5 years ago. I remember I would always just have it because there was something about him that just stuck with me, and I couldn't shake that. And I think like what you're saying about like resilience and all that, it's like, and just listening to the thing inside of you that says there's a reason why this is scratching at you from the inside, gnawing at you. And you got to just run to that. That's the only way to do things, really.
Word.
Emily, I'm wondering, you said you watched a documentary about Mark Kerr, right? And that's how you learned about him? Had you watched mixed martial arts or combat sports prior to that?
I had never watched MMA, UFC, anything. I mean, I think when I was growing up, my dad was really into boxing, so I watched a lot of boxing with him. But when I saw the documentary, it was so clear that this was not, in a way, the backdrop of that 90s machismo, MMA, like that. It's so masculine, like so macho. And then you've got this incredibly tender, vulnerable man. And it was just such an interesting character because he's such a juxtaposition to the sport that he does. They almost don't run alongside each other. He's quiet, he's quite innocent and childlike and this very light voice. It was just an amazing sort of paradox that I thought would be a cool character for Dee to play. But I was taken by that idea of the man who has to appear to be indestructible, who's unraveling emotionally and struggling, and what that pressure must be. It was just, I was in, and I was heartbroken by him and by his relationship with Dawn.
Yeah.
I was in.
Very complicated, layered relationship
Yes.
with Dawn, his eventually becoming his wife. The thing I loved about how you portrayed Dawn is we don't hear about the women in the
Right.
fighters'
Yeah.
lives, right? We
Yeah.
don't. The
Yes.
women have to patch them up.
Yes,
Yeah.
they sacrifice.
They
everything, too.
sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
And I love your approach to Dawn.
Thank you.
What were you hoping to accomplish? Because you showed us a lot of layers.
I mean, I was hoping to accomplish what you were saying, really, like what goes on behind closed doors to the person in which all that stress, angst, anger, pent-up rage, loneliness gets decanted into her. Like, how does she then function? Because she's got her own demons. So you've got a character who struggles with their own demons, their own addictions, and they're watching their partner completely unravel in front of their eyes. And so it was a recipe for a very chaotic relationship full of a lot of explosive fights. And I think when you're the wife of a very dedicated athlete whose life is on the line all the time, I think you're required to get in line. And I just think it wasn't in her nature. And she needed him and she loved him. But what ended up happening was that she was as devoted as she was destructive at times.
Yeah.
So it's such a fascinating character to play, and to get to know the real Dawn was essential for both of us and Benny to talk to the real people and
Yeah.
kind of really nuance what they experience behind closed doors.
Absolutely. You know, Mark is like a mountain of a man.
Yeah.
What you're describing.
Beast.
But there's so much that lies beneath the surface, and it makes me think of today's man and how a lot of especially young men really gravitate towards like red pill philosophies, right? And they are trying to define what masculinity means for themselves. For you, Rock, what would you say is your perspective currently on strength, on manhood?
Yeah. Again, I'll go back to noise. There's so much noise out there, especially for our young boys out there, our young men out there, just men in general.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how things continue to evolve, almost like an amoeba, and take different shape and form. What does vulnerability look like? What does masculinity look like? Is it toxic? Is it not? What does that mean? Is it cool to be vulnerable? Empathetic, radical empathy is a term that Benny created for us at the beginning of this movie. To have radical, there's one thing to have empathy, which is important, but to radicalize empathy where you go deep. And he had a great quote, Benny did. He said, if we could make a movie where maybe one of the takeaways is empathy is a cool thing.
Yeah.
And vulnerability is a cool thing. And it's okay to rip yourself open. And it's okay to, because this idea of like mental health, struggle, mental wellness, mental hellness. We didn't have this growing up. Like, there wasn't any of that, right? And we were raised like, what are you crying about?
Yeah.
I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah.
Stop, right? So we know that. So this
Damn,
idea.
that's
Right? Bring it back. Bring it back. You just bring it back. Oh my God.
I'll never do it again.
Yeah, you said
But
that
you
like
said that with like, but we,
Yeah.
you
Delivered
heard
that.
that.
It's a time
Yeah, I
machine.
heard that before.
Oh my God.
I'll give you something to cry
Yeah,
about,
got
man.
it.
But today, I always feel like it's important. One of the anchoring things that we tell our young men out there is use your vulnerability as a superpower, and your openness to share what you feel.
Yeah.
And here's your heart. Wear it on your sleeve and speak from here, and that's okay. And it should be celebrated.
Yeah, and that's I think what was so important about this, and like the idea of like, okay, here you have this guy who's fighting in these intense fights, you know, giving everybody this front row seat to this really kind of incredible time period. But even that guy who is as strong as possible, he's struggling with stuff.
Yeah.
He's got his own issues.
Yeah.
And he is hiding that. And what happens when you hide that? is not going to be good for anybody, for you, for the people around you. So let it out. You know, that's basically the feeling is like you watch this happen. And I love sports, combat sports. You know, I love boxing, you know, and the best experience I've ever had was watching my friend. He was fighting at the Resort World Casino, and he was fighting for the Fedleton belt, you know? And he wasn't supposed to win. You know, I think everybody thought he was going to lose. And when he did win, it was the greatest thing in the world, not because he won, but because I was connected to the guy in the ring emotionally. I knew everything he had been through. And that's what's really beautiful about, like, when you get into the fighting world, there's a lot of support and love there, and it's a really beautiful thing. So I would get to know this guy, I knew everything he had been through, and then to see him achieve that made me feel good.
Yeah.
And then if he had lost, I would have felt just as sad and close to him, you know. So that's really like radicalize the idea of like let's get inside somebody else's head, you know.
I like that.
I'm wrong with you, Betty.
Now you know.
Benny, like as an actor, director, I always joke with them when something really awesome happens for me. I'm a grown ass woman, but I jump on my bed. I don't know why. Like I just jump on the bed. I'll just get happy.
That's amazing.
And for you, like actor, you know what it's like to audition. You've been through that process, right? You've been told no, rejection. But as a director, like yo, I'm about to direct The Rock and Emily Blunt. Like, what was your moment? Like, how did you block all of the noise out, you know?
Yeah.
And how did you celebrate that? Because I think that has to just be amazing to get that.
It's funny. I don't know why I keep bringing this up, but it's stuck in my head as a kid. There was a guy in the Guinness Book of World Records who ate a car and a plane. And that was like his thing.
Said he ate?
He
Like
ate it.
little by little.
Little by
I
little.
remember that.
Yes, you put them in salt shakers, little pepper. And then by the end of it, he had eaten all of these enormous machines. And I thought,
Nah, Benny.
I'm going somewhere.
Trust him.
Yes.
You gotta
You gotta
land
trust.
this plane,
So,
Benny.
so I thought, okay, how do you? So if you look at the whole plane and say, how the hell am I going to eat that thing?
Yep.
You're going to get overwhelmed, and it's going to be impossible. But if you break it up into little bits and
Bite-sized
pieces,
pieces of The
pieces, exactly. If you smash the rock into little pebbles, it's not a big deal, you know. So it's like,
Crush the blunt.
yes, exactly.
Roll the rock in the blunt.
Yeah. Smash the rock, you grind up the blunt, you get it, then you're good.
Light it
So,
up.
so it's just kind of focusing on the ingredients,
Okay.
and then you get the result at the end. You know, it's really just kind of trying to stay focused. You know, that's really
Stay
it,
focused.
and not getting overwhelmed by like what you're about to embark on, because that can be scary.
Yeah.
So what isn't scary is, okay, I got to move this bottle over here for the shot that's happening here. You know, you just break it down into something like that. So.
So, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
I'm glad I was able to land
No,
that
you
one.
landed it.
You landed it.
It was awesome.
I want to go back to the vulnerability conversation we were having, because I thought it was amazing to watch the standing ovation you all received in Venice. And 15 minutes people stood to applaud your work.
Crazy.
And these are people who don't got 15 minutes for you, right?
Right.
But I thought it was beautiful to see you cry. And I may have cried once on air, you know,
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
because of grief.
Yes.
It wasn't because of joy or
Right.
accomplishment. Can you share what that moment felt like for you that brought you to tears?
That was the most surreal moment and most humbling thing to feel that, because we made this movie with our heart, and there was no, you know, what's the big 4-quadrant audience or what's the box office going to be. This is just from here. But, and I've been saying this because I mean it, is this movie changed my life. And he changed my life. And she has been one of my best friends for years, who helped encourage me to, here's the cliff. You don't know what's out there, neither do I, but let's jump.
Yeah.
So by the time we get to Venice, and we arrive on Saturday, the premiere's on Monday. First of all, we're excited. We've never been to Venice. We get called, you're in competition. Oh, wow, they like our movie. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. We get to Venice. I'm scrolling my phone on Saturday. You're seeing all these movies now debut in Venice. They're getting 5-minute standing ovations, 6, 7, 10. I'm thinking, holy shit, are they going to clap for our movie? You never know. And then I started getting in my head.
Yeah.
As
the noise.
we do,
Yeah.
the noise, it starts getting in my head. And I thought, I said to them like on Monday morning, if they don't clap, do we start clapping for ourselves? Like, how does this work?
We're like, woo woo.
And let me tell you, there's cards at the end of our movie, which, as you guys know, fighters today are famous. They make millions of dollars. These guys were the pioneers. No one knew their name. Fighters today, they know their name. They're world famous. They make millions of dollars. But his name was Mark Kerr.
Yes.
And then the credits are supposed to roll. That audience didn't wait. They erupted.
Yeah.
I have chills. And the lights came on. In the eruption, what it represented, I think, for all of us, including Mark Kerr, who was there.
Mark was there?
Mark was there.
Oh,
there.
wow.
Yes.
So Mark's a big dude. So he's sitting beside me. So, we're like this. The whole time I felt his body was just shaking, vibrating. And then at the end of the movie, that final 15 minutes of our movie is heavy.
Yeah.
And the big fight happens. He is shaking, Mark Kerr. I put my hand on his knee and I look over and Benny's holding his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lights come on. We begin to stand up. We're all emotional. And I was so happy for Emily. I was so happy for our movie. I was so happy for Benny. Because this is his too. It's his vision. Yeah. And I was even more happy for Mark Kerr because this audience is looking up at him and it just erupted, in essence saying, you lived a life worth living. Thank you. And we see ourselves in what you just did. So that moment in Venice was...
And also a life that he's been tough on himself about, just
Shame.
he owns
Yeah. Shame.
his shame. He wears it on his sleeve. And so it was just this moment of like he reclaimed his identity and the imprint that he's had on the world was sort of recognized by those people and they saw themselves in him and it was just magical. I also think we were scared going into Venice. It's scary.
What scared you?
Well, because some movies, like, they really are your beating heart and some you're happy to be in them, but then some are precious. And it was made with such purity, this film. It was like a very purely intended film. We didn't strategize anything. Benny creates this environment of just such freedom. And it was so beautiful, the whole experience. So those ones you're even more protective of.
Yeah.
So we were going into Venice kind of like, we love our movie. Do you love our movie? Like, it's like you kind of offer it tentatively to them. And for that kind of embrace to be so euphoric. I mean, it was wild. It was wild.
He'll never say it, but I'm going to say it, and then he's going to say what he's going to say right now, is then we all go home on Tuesday. We start getting texts from Benny. He says, I got to go back to Venice, and I don't know why. And he didn't know why, but he was awarded Best Director at Venice Film Festival.
Oh, my God. Oh, man, Benny.
Thank you.
There we go.
He wouldn't do this.
I was not going to say that.
Little bow tie.
I was going to bring it back to vulnerability, because like with this movie, we put a lot of like ourselves in it, a lot of our feelings and a lot of our emotions. And what was so beautiful about that was, and I think it was interesting, you say when you cry from happiness, and not grief. What it was when somebody recognizes something that if you're open and you're vulnerable and openly vulnerable, and somebody looks at that and says, okay, I see that. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what was overwhelming. I was like, wow, everybody, it's like the thing that I thought maybe I was hiding or whatever, somebody else is seeing that too, and that feels really good. And then you
Good
get
feeling, right?
emotional, and then you cry.
That's interesting.
You know how, like, before a concert, the artist will probably have their dancers, everyone who's a part of the show, and they have a big prayer. Or, like, before a big game, it's like the entire team will have that huddle. When you were mentioning, Emily, about feeling, like, scared, all of you guys, before movie premieres, do y'all do something to get your, like,
rituals
energy
or something?
collectively
It's called
right?
Open Tequila.
You loosen yourself up a little bit.
Yeah, I have to. Every time I do a red carpet, I have to be just a little bit drunk. I'm too scared otherwise. Yeah.
I love it. You made me think of something when you talked about that feeling.
Yeah.
That feeling you get when people receive or accept something you put together. I kind of parallel that with the feeling that Mark got, right? When to win, when he expresses. winning is everything. I don't know how to think without winning. You know, without winning, what would life be? You guys highlight a few obsessive behaviors, you know, even the addiction to painkillers, right? Even in the relationship, it was something about the drama in the relationship that was kind of obsessive, right?
Yes, completely.
I'm curious to the three of you, do you have any obsessive behaviors in your personal life?
I'm probably I'm obsessive compulsive, you know. So it's like in the sense that like you get obsessed with certain things and then it overwhelms you, and then when you and just that idea that like something can't get finished unless this is done, and then it's this tunnel vision. And then that creates problems because then somebody's trying to talk to you and you're not listening, and all you're focused on is that. So it's like, I know what that feels like, and it's like when you get that feeling, it's really hard to shake out of it, you know? And it can be about anything. And I think the thing is it's when you let that feeling define you or overwhelm you, that's when you start to have problems, you know? Yeah.
What about you, Dwayne? Would you say, you know, because I would watch you in the gym every day and feel guilty.
I was going to say, here we go. Here we go. Something's coming. I can feel the wind up.
You saw that one?
I saw it. What about you, Dwayne? I said, here we go. Here we go.
What would you say?
Probably I'm obsessed with work. Not I need to go to work, but just the thing we want, whatever that thing is that we want, whether it's a little thing or a big thing, it's your own two hands. You got to put in the work with your own two hands. And I'm also obsessed with something I know Benny's obsessed with too, is this idea of trying.
Yeah.
Just got to try.
Just got to try.
Try. Be scared. Do it scared. Whatever it is, even if you don't know what's in front of you. And a lot of times we don't see, you can't see what's in front of you, but it's okay. Walk by faith, not by sight, that thing, right? And try. This idea of trying. You got to try. Take a swing.
Take a swing at it.
Take a swing.
And if you're really trying, that's the closest you'll get to to the person, to the human, you know? Like if somebody's trying to lift something really heavy and they're trying to do it with everything they've got, veins pop out, they start looking really intense because they're not focused on anything else other than doing that thing. And that's like the most beautiful thing in the world, you know, to get close to that. So that's the goal whenever we try to do anything, is just to get close to the feeling of what it is to be a human, you know?
Benny should tell children's stories.
Wow.
By the way,
Funny
it's funny you say that.
Really? Crazy.
Go ahead.
Foreshadowing?
His next movie.
The next thing that we're doing is Dwayne and I are going to get together and we're going to make a movie called Lizard Music, which is based off a book that I read to my kids by Daniel Pinkwater. And I specifically said, the feeling after we made Smashing Machine. This is crazy.
It was perfect.
Yes, I like. This is wild. So I said the feeling that like people are having, that we wanted people to have leaving the theater. I said I want to give that to kids and families. I want them to be able to have that conversation. And so that's what we're gonna do. You know, it's
beautiful.
Yeah. That's so wild that you guys said that.
And I play a
Thank you.
75-year-old man.
You do?
Yes,
I will.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The Chicken Man.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you out there now, bro.
Yeah.
This,
down.
this Mark Kerr, this role you just played, man. It's you know, I've enjoyed all of your movies.
Thank you.
You know, not just because I consider myself in your friend circle.
You are, yes.
But I like, even with Emily, one of the reasons why I love what you do is because I never seen the same character twice.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
You know
I
what I mean?
appreciate that.
Like
Thank you.
I've watched you in movies and didn't realize it was you.
Thank you. That
Right?
means a lot to me.
Okay. I watched you in this movie, and immediately I didn't think of you.
Yeah.
You know,
Great
and I'm,
compliment. Thank you.
bro, and the world is watching. You know, you're Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, so that's
The man who can never disappear.
the man that can never disappear,
Yeah.
right? But
so moving to see him disappear. you know?
and I'm sure for you as well, right?
Yes, very. I mean, it was so exciting because, and strangely, when he first walked in, the camera test, I'll never forget it. No, it was like Moses parting the sea. People were like, just awestruck when he walked in. But it was just an entire energetic shift, demeanor shift,
Came
like
in through,
everything.
like the side door
yeah, he came in
behind
the side, quiet,
Yeah.
and hey,
And we were like,
hey. And he was kind of doing the voice and
Yeah.
everything, and we were like, and I just said, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry looking at you.
Did you cry?
Well, I didn't cry, but I did well up. But I did cry a lot during this movie,
Right.
obviously.
Wow.
You know.
It's funny, Sway. You use the term friend circle, and you said something that I'm gonna probably share with my husband later. You said, this is the person that said I'm gonna jump with. I found a person to jump with. And I think that's so beautiful because that requires love, that requires trust, it
Yeah.
requires patience, it requires listening. And you don't always hear that in terms of a friendship. So I'm curious, how did you two become friends? How did
Well, we worked on Jungle Cruise
Yeah, we did
together.
Jungle
but
Cruise
we
together.
all you work, you do a
Right.
project, and you
But
sort
for
of go
me, it's
home,
been
right?
so
That's right, right.
magical. Like when you take people away from a movie, and I would say I could count on one hand the actors I've worked with who are in my life, like really in my life, like dear, dear friends who we talk all the time. And when that happens, it's like the best because you have this sort of insular experience on a movie, and usually it's contained to that. And it's great. And when you see each other again, it's awesome.
Right.
But I think, I don't know, I just loved him. I just thought I loved him. And I know we're kind of like polarized people in some ways when it comes to like where you think we've come from and what we might identify with. And I think we just stayed close over the years and shared a lot. And it was important to me for this venture because I'm such a dork and I love acting so much that I love it. And I knew that he was gonna just love an experience like this. And I want that for everyone. Like if you've got a need to fly and you're scared, like I would want it for any actor, like to take that leap. I'm just very happy that Benny cast me in the movie.
Come on, man,
And not
I love
Scarlett
that.
Johansson. You know what I mean? Or someone
The
that
reason
Dwayne would have preferred. But like,
but it's because of that connection that I realized that this was going to work. Because when you have a relationship that's complicated, like as you were saying, that exists and almost subsides on that volatility, it needs to have a strong foundation. You need to feel that there is that pull towards one another. They may never meet, but you need to feel that there's a deep connection. And that I saw that between them, and I realized, well, then we could take these arguments that happen, you know, that everybody's had, you know, and we can
We've
make
all
them
been them.
really real
Yeah.
in the sense that like you feel like these hurt the other person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
and they're not fun to watch, but I think it's an experience, you know, because if it just gets inside and you see that, and then maybe you're not so hard on yourself. You know, so
What kind of steps did y'all take though? Because a lot of the arguing scenes were, and you guys are
Intense.
friends, but you know when you in character, they got real intense. So what kind of environment did you create for Emily and Dwayne? Because once you yell rap, hey, we got it.
Yeah.
That's still in emotion, right?
Right.
Yes, we're
it's-
still recovering.
Yeah. And I guess it's like the first thing that we did, even before we started anything, was we all just kind of got together, and then I said, let's just talk about the times where we've got into
That's right.
arguments with the people we love where you've said something that you felt bad about and you were embarrassed of it. And I said, I'm going to go first. And I just said the things that I felt. And I wanted it to be like, okay, now we can all feel comfortable because it's like that we're not hiding anything from one another. You know, if we trust each other, then we can go to these places.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was like when those moments were done, I knew what had happened, you know, because it's like as an actor, you have to connect it to some place. So I saw them connecting it, and I knew that was difficult. So it wasn't like a cut, we got it. It was like, whew,
Wow.
let's
Yes.
take
An
some
hour
time
to talk,
here.
to talk
And
this
then,
through.
that was
Yeah.
part of the day. Was
Yeah.
like the
it was
hour
like
come down.
built-in time to
Yeah.
recover.
Exactly.
But, you know, really, as close as I feel to DJ, we didn't talk much on this movie. We didn't socialize. We did not, like, it was so...
On other ends of the trailer.
We were on
and
other ends of the
makeup
trailer.
yeah.
Like, he was getting into a zone, and... Of course, it was like a joyful set because you can see the joy bomb that's sitting next to me. Like it was just heaven running to work to work with him. But it was very focused. It didn't feel antagonistic, but we were elsewhere. And we knew we were going to have to go at it and blow the doors off the place. And so it's like a storm brewing when you're heading to those scenes. And I get very interior and I get very, I need to be alone. And then you rock
Can't
and
sleep the
roll.
night
I can't
before,
sleep the
yeah.
night before. I just, you're kind of not in a good state. And it helps the scene.
Yeah.
It lends itself to the scene, but then afterwards, it was such a moment of like unity and like we
did
we
something.
we did
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, Sway, also what Benny does, because I want to give him his flowers here, is that the environment he creates, this is why he's so singular as a filmmaker. This is why he's so evocative. And you go, God, that's a signature Benny Safdie
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
that he does, where it feels like a prowling camera. And maybe you shouldn't be watching these guys argue like this. Does it feel, makes it feel uncomfortable. So the house that Mark and Dawn live in the movie, that's on a soundstage. Benny had it built from scratch.
Wow.
With not movable walls. So everything is up, structure, real running water, lights. So he'll remove all these lights that we have here. There are no lights
Yeah.
except
Nothing
real
technical
lights.
around you, really.
And he built this house from scratch so he can hide the cameras.
Wow.
So that's why we went into those scenes ready
Yeah.
to rumble. We don't see cameras. We're not.
None of the fighting scenes either. With the fighting scenes, or
In
just,
the
just in
ring?
the house. Yeah, in the
way
ring.
you're saying, especially in the house,
especially
like
in the
where
house. Okay.
it's that
Yeah.
intimacy of like, I
Yeah.
really don't know if I should be watching this. You know, that's like as if you're voyeuristically kind of in on this relationship.
so
But
important.
the fighting scenes, though.
It was a similar thing. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But it was like, because we were shooting on film, you needed to have a certain amount of lights. But with Maceo Bishop, the cinematographer, we figured out ways to like put the lights above and hide them and make them practical, you know? So the ring has all these bright lights on it, you know? And then we have the Pride has that beautiful white mat, so it's bouncing the light off. And we would go into the crowd and check the light readings as you move through so that it would have this nice fall off, create a really beautiful image. But I'm not going in the ring. I'm staying on the outside, and I'm making it look like it's just happening once. And that's because you take away all of the kind of the things you would normally have, and you just move them out of the way. And you could still get at it. You just have to work a tiny bit differently, you know.
You did something else that I could get real detailed here, but the score.
Oh yes,
Oh, so awesome.
Nala Sinefro.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
man! Because that even
What a contradiction that score was.
Yes.
Gosh, the jazz,
Jazz.
playing,
Yes.
Yeah.
with the saxophone playing,
Yes, the horns come
the
in.
horns.
Oh.
But
With
I kind
punches.
of made sense of it because jazz is kind of like chaos, organized.
Yes.
Organized
Yes.
chaos.
Exactly.
Right?
You got to go with it.
You got to go with it, and I
Yes.
felt like that's what was in Mark's head at times
That's
too.
right. See, Sway.
That's it.
My God.
That's it.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yes.
that was what like. So Nala,
gotta
she.
smile.
Yeah, this is crazy. You're like locked in. This is wild. So yeah, with Nala, I would just tell her what he was feeling, and she would interpret that with the group of musicians she put together. And I had the privilege of watching like a jazz session happen. We'd have the movie on, and then they're looking at each other. They're playing. They're trying to create the vibe of what it's supposed to be. And I would go in there and I would basically set it up like a scene. And she created the most incredible music. And I said it's like almost like a psychoanalytic
It really
version
is.
of what's going on in the head, you know? And then on top of that, MMA has a very improvisational quality to it, you know? At one moment you're on top, next moment you're down on the ground. You got to figure out how to switch it. And so there was that element of jazz that I saw in the ring too. And then out of the ring, yeah, it's the same thing. It's always like it's tied to the mindset.
You know what I'm curious about, Ben? Because you also wrote this as well.
Yeah.
Right? When this vision first comes to you, and you spoke about being like very obsessive over a project, and it's all you can like breathe and eat. But obviously, there's jazz that comes with your team, with the production crew.
Oh, for sure.
How much would you say of your initial vision for this was maintained once you started bringing the team in?
Great question.
That is a great question, and it's almost like contradictory. I would say it's almost exactly this thing that I wanted it to be, exactly. But that's because I knew it would require actually letting go of a certain amount of control
Okay.
and allowing people to bring themselves to it. You know, at every moment, I want it to feel alive. I don't want it to feel like, okay, we got those lines perfect. Because if it sounds like you're just saying it, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
I want it to just, we'll figure it out. If ideas, let's go. Let's make this exciting, you know? And so at the end of the day, when you watch it back, it feels like, oh, yes, that's what I wanted it to feel like. I didn't know how I would I knew how I would get there, but you didn't. It's like, it's different than what I saw in my head, but it plays it plays the same, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
You did an excellent job, man.
Oh,
Corridor, what is that?
did.
Corridor of Dreams.
Yes.
Corridor Dreams.
Dreams.
Yeah.
Yes.
Killer
yeah.
song.
And I don't want to give away the movie. Y'all got to watch the movie,
Yeah.
all right? You know, but
Yeah.
even in that end scene, you know, towards the end, and it just all played. I'm a music guy, so
Yes.
it all played along really well. I think you guys done excellent work
Thank you.
together,
Yeah.
and I
Thank
hope
you.
to see you do more